I'm going to try hard not to rub my boobs this time because the microphone really picks that up.
Oop.
And we're recording. Hi.
Hi. My mic almost fell. I have a mic this time. Yay. Progress.
She's professional because hers isn't in the frame like mine is, but it's a big boy. It's just
Yeah,
going to be out here.
mine is little, but this is Sterling.
Hi,
Sterling and his
Sterling.
pop filter.
I feel like maybe I should name mine Midnight because we
Ooh.
can both have microphones named after our main character's love
Love interest.
interests.
Yes, yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Speaking of our main character, hi.
Yeah. Oh, well, first, welcome to Knocking the Books, episode 2. Um, I'm Melissa. And I refuse to DNF a book.
I don't understand. Like, my brain. I'm Jolie, and DNFing is my love language. But I refuse to DNF a book that we read for our little book club here called Knocking the Books. Welcome, everybody.
Welcome. And this month we read the very popular The Coldest Winter Ever
A
by
classic.
Sister Soldier. This is my
Why
very
is her
long
name?
library.
Mine is a copy that I got from a thrift store that's very dusty with dust that can never be removed. Why is her name bigger than the title? I just noticed that.
There goes more proof for your question later.
I got problems.
But this book is about the main character, Winter Satyaga, a certified hood princess with a drug kingpin father. And she's enjoying being at the top of the ghetto food chain until her life is unexpectedly shaken up. She uses her street smarts and business savviness to survive, but will her plans come to fruition?
Spoiler alert.
They don't.
Okay, so we usually start by giving a one word and one sound description or reaction to the book. And Melissa, do you want to start with yours?
My sound sounds something like ugh, like just exasperation. That's
Yeah.
yeah.
My sound and my word are actually the same. It's a word that has to be said in a specific sound. It's bitch. Like just said it so many times. I mean, this like bitch, come on, bitch, please, bitch, what? Like I was just bitch,
Yes.
bitch, stop.
There was definitely a few times where I text Albert because he's read this like years
Mm-hmm.
ago. And I was just like, this bitch, like what you doing?
That's the thing. This book has been popular for over 3 decades. It came out in the 90s, like 99, and it definitely reads as such. And it's a book that most young Black people have read at some point in their life. And I usually when they're younger, and you and I are both in our 30s now and reading it now, I actually am curious before we even get into like our other questions. Like, if you read this while you were younger, do you think you'd have the same reaction that you have to this book?
I think I would, because I don't want to say sheltered, but sort of kind of like, like the worst thing I did was sneak out the house to go see my boyfriend or something. I wasn't like, you know, I was definitely
Yeah.
a homebody.
Your
And
father wasn't a drug kingpin. I met this
no.
man.
Yeah.
Um, I would have had the same reaction. I definitely would have been having a lot of bitches thrown about, but it would have been different. I think younger me is a lot more judgmental than older me. So I probably would have been like, get it together, you raggedy bitch. Whereas now we're going to get deeper into it, but I just really wanted Winter to just be a little bit smarter, like everyone was telling her to be in this book, and I wasn't judging her so much for her choices or even wanting her to make better choices per se. I just wanted her to make smarter choices. Like, if you're going to hustle, like, excuse me, hustle right, like, do it the right way. Like, she was never thinking ahead. But yeah, let's get into this story a little bit more. Um, so I think maybe we should get into some of the more spoilery bits of the story first. Like, first of all, I loved your little the blurb. Like, that was very succinct. Like, And like I liked, like, what did you call her? A ghetto princess
Hood
or
princess.
hood princess?
Yeah.
That's definitely who she is. There are a lot of characters in this book. Mentor's the main one. She's our narrator. It follows her from the age of 13 to 25. Between the time and during that time, she turned 16, growing up in the projects in Brooklyn where her daddy runs the streets. And then they abruptly moved to Long Island because the streets is hot, the block is hot, the cops is like cops everywhere, new gangs are popping up. And then her mama gets, if I didn't mention this before, this is where the spoilers start. Her mama gets shot in the face, and then her daddy goes to jail, and then their home gets repossessed. Her sisters get sent to CPS, and Winter's basically on her own trying to figure out how to make money. And her only goal is to find some game, is to get into the drug game, because that to her is the best and fastest way to make money. And all she wants is a lot of money. She just wants a lot of money for no stated reason other than the fact that she's just always had it. Like, it's not to get her sisters back or to get her daddy out of jail. Not at first it seems like that, but eventually it's just so she can have bank, so that she can have power resumed. And once her power is gone, her friends kind of turn away from her. That's iffy, because I'm like, did they turn away from her, or did she turn away from them? But her family definitely turns away from her. She ends up in a group home, and she ends up eventually in the home of Sister Soldier, who is a fictionalized version of a real rapper who was really popular and also unpopular in the 90s. She was part of the group Public Enemy, and she was really outspoken about misogyny and racism and education in the Black community. So she's like she's the author of the book, and she's a self-insert character who tries to help Winter. Winter eventually ends up back in Brooklyn, where she is arrested and sent to jail for 15 years. Yeah. What question you want to start with first?
I guess we can talk about like her relationship with her parents, her
Yeah.
father, Ricky Santiago, and her mother, who interestingly is just Mama or Mrs.
Mrs.
Santiago.
Santiago, which is interesting because, like, when did they get married? Because it's stated in like the first page of the book that her mother had her when she was 14 years old,
Yeah.
and that she's always been her daddy's wife. And so I'm like, well, first of all, how old is her father? And second of all, like, when did they get married? Because yeah, that's messy. But it kind of speaks to Winter's whole thing. Like, she lost her virginity when she was 12, which again, like, I don't have any shade to that. I think an older version of me might have, but like, I don't have any shade to that. But she lost her virginity when she was 12, similar to her mother. She operated herself after her mother, and she idolized her father like so much. I feel like throughout the story, when she's looking to get into the drug game and looking at these men to get like help to get into the drug game, she's trying to both be her father and find someone like her father to take care of her the way her father always has. Which I think is part of the reason why she got into so much beef with Natalie. Like, once she got back to Brooklyn, is that like Natalie was living the life that she always saw herself living, with some big deal drug man in a Chanel suit in the box seats at a concert, like living the high life. But Winter also, I think she was a little blinded. Blinded might not be the right word. I think in her idolization of her father, she couldn't see him for what he actually was, which is just as stupid as she is. Like, I could not stand Mr. Santiago. I could not. Just, there was no, just like with Winter, there was no plan. There was no seeing ahead, which is interesting because Winter is always spouting these daddyisms throughout the book. It's like, my daddy taught me, do this, do that. It's like, my daddy taught me, always keep my cards close to my chest. It's like, daddy taught me, see too. But your daddy wasn't doing any of that. He wasn't doing any of that stuff. And that's how he got and ends up with 2 consecutive life sentences. And also, he didn't take care of his family. He had all this money from running drugs, but never hid any away. Like, never planned to, just like Winter, never planned to not be on top. You know what I mean? It was always like, it's always going to be this way. And anyone who knows the drug game in any kind of way, like just from watching The Wire, you can figure it out. The person on top ain't always on top. You know what I mean? Like, that's life. Like eventually a new CEO is going to take over the company, a new president is going to be in the United States, and a new kingpin is going to be running the streets. It's just, and her father never, just like Winter, never saw there ever being a life where she just didn't have it all. And I think that combined with her mother's prioritization of beauty and money just really set Winter up for failure in a lot of ways. But
Yeah.
what do you think?
I mean, yeah, definitely she was set up for failure by her parents because they didn't really teach her how to be like a productive adult. Like she was taught how to be a bad bitch.
Yes.
And I think she says that in the book too. Like, that's what her mom was. That's what she wanted to
Mm-hmm.
be. And her dad from birth was giving her like jewels and expensive gifts. And it's just like I feel like they didn't care about her schooling because like she literally said she didn't go to school. I mean, I'm thinking of like the parallel to like a show like Power, where at
Mm-hmm.
least Ghost had his kids in like the best school
Yeah.
and this, that,
They
and the
didn't
third.
they didn't prepare her for life at all. Like they didn't prepare her to have any kind of independence in any way. Like even if her dad was even preparing her to take over the drug game, he didn't even do that. He didn't take her on runs with him. He didn't make her go to school. He didn't take an interest in her interest at all, see what she was good at. The only thing I think he ever told her that was real was that she should find herself a man who wasn't anything like him. Like when he was just like, you need to find yourself a lawyer or a doctor man with a big tooth grin who makes his money the right way, who will take care of you. But even then, he was setting Winter up to be like, you are someone who needs to be taken care of the same way her mother was taken care of like her whole life. And you said something that like struck me a little bit in that Winter was taught to be a bad bitch. And this is why in my 30s, I don't judge her because I don't think that's a bad lesson. I think there needs to be like a balance between like learning how to being, how do I put this? I think there is a balance between learning how to take care of yourself and also learning how to like work this world in your favor a little bit. I think there are times in my life where I'm like, damn, I wish someone would have taught me how to be a bad bitch. You know what I mean? Like I was taught to read and go to school and like get a job and be super independent, Destiny's Child, like that vibe, but not in the sense of like, here's how you interact with the world. Like, here's how you interact with men. Here's how you can you can work the game to your advantage, not by getting out of your own character, but just by not being naive about how the world works. Like in a lot of ways I was sheltered too. I wasn't allowed to date. I didn't have a lot of friends. Like so it wasn't until like my 20s that I started realizing like, oh, everyone doesn't have my best intentions at heart. Life is not like a book. So I think Winter had a imbalance on her life in the other way, where it's just like she just all she knew was the streets and all she looked out for was herself.
Right.
Yeah. Winter. Let's I want to skip ahead to your favorite character and least favorite character. Who's your favorite character in this book?
Ugh, that's hard.
Do you have a favorite character?
I don't know if I do. Who was the girl in the group home who tried to help? I forgot her name.
Rashida.
Yeah,
I think it's Rashida. Yeah, it's
Rashida
Rashida.
was cool. Rashida tried.
Rashida did save her life. At the very least, Rashida saved her life when Simone and oh my god, what was the other girl who was the middleman at the group home?
It's like Lachey.
Lachey, when Simone and Lachey were going to basically kill her, she came back to the group home. Yeah, Rashida like went to Grand Central Station and like our Penn Station and like helped her out and brought her to my favorite character in the book, which is actually Lauren, Sister Soldier's little sister. I really liked her character. One, because she was like, to me, she represented balance between like what Winter was and what Sister Soldier was. And Lauren was just like, bitch, I can do both. I can be book smart, I can be a secretary, and I can still be in these streets. I can still be after these rappers. I can still be walking around with my cute but busted shoes and be going to the groupie mansion and shit. And I'm gonna be back in the morning to do my job. Like, I really liked Lauren. And I also really loved the last scene that we have with Lauren, which takes place off page. But when Winter is stealing from Sister Soldier, like Lauren figures it out and does a quick little switcheroo and like just catches Winter out. And I loved the fact that she did that. I love the fact that because again, she's smart. She's not as naive as both Winter and I think Sister Soldier are. Whereas like they both think that they know everything. And it's just like Winter is like, I'm in both of these worlds. I know how things work in both ways. So I know what's happening here. And I know who Winter, who she knew as Sasha. I know who she is. And I know what she'd be willing to do. So I'm going to catch her out. And I love that. And I want to know, that's the one question I had at the end of the book is what happened to Winter's tennis bracelet, necklace, and 10-carat diamond earrings? Because like she held on to those for so long. Yeah. And then Lauren took them. Like she switched the bag and she didn't have it anymore. And I'm like, I wonder what Lauren did with them. I genuinely want to know.
They're at the pawn shop.
Yeah, she probably only would have got like $400 for them. Poor thing. Do you have a least favorite character?
Winter.
Why?
I mean, she just got on my nerves. Like, honestly, there were some times where I was like, oh, I hope Rashida and Winter fight. I hope Rashida beats Winter's ass.
She would have.
She would have. Happening. And I just like, there were so many times when she could have, decided to do better. And yeah, I don't know, just made different choices and came up. Like I thought maybe her going to Sister Soldiers was going to be like her saving grace or something. And maybe after hearing Sister Soldier speak, she'd be like, oh, wow. Or, really see something. But I'm like, no, I guess she's too far deep into her ways, I guess, to change. And
or maybe Sister Soldier don't know what she's talking about. I'm sorry. Exactly. My least favorite character is a tie between Sister Soldier and Midnight. Like and for the same reason. First of all, I'm talking about Sister Soldier as a character in this book. She as a rapper and speaker and author, I don't know that much about her. Although I do know that she tends to have very polarizing views. And I liked her verse on Don't Catch Me Lying about the name of the song, but the visuals of it, she had on the bomb red pantsuit with her side ponytail. That much I remember. I was like, oh, this is talking and looks good. But Sister Soldier in the book is so judgmental under the guise of being helpful. And I found that she has so much internalized misogyny and that she has so much internalized like slut shaming and homophobia. There's a lot of homophobia in this book that, again, 90s, not surprised, but I was just completely taken aback by someone who's so allegedly like progressive minded and cares about the community. You are literally like excluding a whole portion of the community, and then you go meet people with AIDS and you immediately take a shower afterwards. Like as a character, I found Sister Soldier to be judgmental and a hypocrite and not really interested in helping other people, but mostly interested in like boosting her own ego in order to say that she's doing good in her community. And all you other, like when she asked the stripper lady like if her baby needed $300 to $500 a night like to eat, and it's just like, no, but like, so what? This is the job I have. This is like, don't do that. Don't act like I just love stripping and having men touch on my body. Like, and that's what she says to her. And it's just like, first of all, if she did, that's fine. Like, it's okay if she does. There's nothing wrong with wanting attention from the sex that you're attracted to or that you are attractive to. Like, there's nothing inherently wrong with that. And also, babies are expensive. $300 a night can go a long way toward taking care of a child. So, like, I don't know. And I also found that like I'm trying to find like specific parts in the story that piss me off about Sister Soldier. And I kind of felt like you said, like we were supposed to look at her as someone who Winter was going to be like, you're right, I can be a better woman, I can do all this stuff. But Sister Soldier I didn't feel like wanted people to be better women. I think she just wanted them to be like her. Which is essentially what she was saying to Midnight as well. Midnight I didn't like because Midnight is seen as this like he's Winter's love interest, and like she puts him on a pedestal just like she puts her daddy on a pedestal. But just like her daddy, I didn't see the hype. Like when Midnight is rude, Midnight is mean, Midnight is verbally abusive, and Midnight is made to seem like he's this great character that everyone should aspire to be like, similar to Sister Soldier, and in reality he's just controlling. I'm really curious like how he got her twin sisters and adopted them and converted them to Islam, which is, again, that's not inherently wrong, but it's like, or wrong in any way, but it's like, I don't know how much say did they have in their own lives and like what they did. I don't know. I just, and like I found him to be simultaneously like, oh, I love your father. It was a lot of double speak talking about I love your father, but you could tell that Midnight, just like me, thought Ricky Santiago was stupid. Like that he was just like, I love your father, but I would never be as dumb as him. I would never be as dumb as you. All y'all Santiagos is dumb. And, and I'm breaking the fuck out. I'm getting out of here. Y'all not taking me down with you, which I respect, but it's also like you like
Yeah.
I don't know. Something about their whole vibe was just really, there was one thing that Sister Soldier said to Winter that I did appreciate, and I did have hope for Winter, is when she was just like, oh, you're good at doing hair and nails and shopping and styling. She was like, you can turn that into a career. And that was one of two moments where I really wanted Winter to listen. Like I like that moment, and then there was a moment with Simone when she met up with her to get boosted clothes, and Simone, and she was like, oh, I want to get in the crack game, and Simone was like, girl, think about what happened to your daddy. And I was like, yes, Winter, please think about what happened to your daddy. Crack is not the way, it's whack. So
Right. Yeah.
Anyway,
Did your book also have the
I'm
preview?
sorry.
You're fine.
I'm sorry.
Did your did your book have the preview of Midnight's book?
Yeah, I ain't read it.
Okay, so I read it, and yeah, that made me like Midnight less also, because he is very like misogynistic, like, you know, he's from Sudan, and so he's like just very much carrying those views. And I was telling Albert, I was like,
Women need to be in a certain place.
yeah, I was
And
like, my brother-in-law would love this. This is right up his alley. Like,
catch a strays, blah blah blah. No, like, and I'm not surprised by that. And again, in my research after reading the book, I found that she wrote like 3 whole books about Midnight. Like, there's at least 3 Midnight books, and they're like her least selling like books ever. Like, most people like don't even finish them, and it makes me just wonder about Sister Soldier, like as a real person, and like I wonder if she wrote this book in the 2000s and 20s, if if her depiction or even personal perception of Winter might have been different, if she would have had a little bit more sympathy, because the story is, again, even though it's told from Winter's perspective, it's very obvious that you're not supposed to be rooting for Winter. Like, you're supposed to have the reaction that we had, the ugh and the bitch. Like, you're supposed to be like, girl, do better. But I wonder if she wrote this book now, if Winter might have gotten more sympathetic viewing. Because regardless of how we feel about Winter, Winters existed then and they exist now. And I wonder if she would have still had that same amount of judgment, knowing what we know now about the world and feminism and misogynoir. I don't know. I will hope so, because this book is mean. It's good though. I liked it. I'm not gonna lie and say I didn't like it, but it's kind of mean. Like, shout out to Lauren though. She's the only good character. Did you have a I don't want to say favorite scene, but a scene that stood out to you?
I did like the scene where I think that was after she had moved to Long Island and she was kind of like reminiscing on her New York days and, talking about all of her friends and all of that. I was like, oh, I like this. This is good New York imagery and like, just reminiscing on how it was in the projects and everything that they went through, losing their one friend and all of
Girl,
that.
that was rough. How that friend got killed by her mama. I wonder if that was real. You know what I mean? I wonder if like Winter's perception of what were did Winter have friends? Like did she have real friends? Were they good friends to her? Was she a good friend to them?
I don't think she was a good friend. Like, it's just like she liked being at the top
Yeah.
and, having her little peons. And when she wasn't on top, we saw how jealous she was. So,
Yeah. She did Simone dirty. She did Simone dirty. Like that girl went to jail for boosting a dress for you.
right.
And you ain't paying her bail, knowing that she would have given you the money back. Like you didn't give her bail money, and then y'all got into a fight, and that caused her a miscarriage. Like that's dumb on Simone's part. You shouldn't be fighting and running after some bitch when you 8 months pregnant. But like, still, like she did Simone so dirty. And Winter, she had so much money at one point. Like eventually, she had like $2,500 in the 90s. That's she could have rented an apartment for like 4 months, like on that shit. Even in New York, God, inflation's a bitch. It's like now that you can't get a apartment for 1 month for $2,500. Like, please. Not in a brownstone in Harlem. Anyway, sorry. But she she had $2,500. Her aunt stole it. Fine. Within a couple months, she made that money back and then some by hustling the boosted clothes. And like she kept spending the money as she got it. And I'm like, girl, what? And it made me go like, what do you want the money for? Like it's like is the money so you can get out of the group home? Is the money so you can get your daddy a lawyer? Is the money so like what? Do you really just want the money so you can buy outfits that
Right.
keep getting stolen from you? Like
Yeah.
it's just ugh. Um, a scene that stood out to me, which I knew it was going to happen, was when they had like the groupie contest in GS's rented mansion,
Mm-hmm.
and they were asking the girls like trivia questions and stuff, which you should definitely watch season 2 of Rap Shit.
Okay.
Um, it's related. But like I just knew like I was reading the book waiting for a sexual assault to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and like it got close a whole bunch of times, like with the security guard in the Macy's and like a bunch of other times. But like I was just waiting for like something to happen that was supposed to like break Winter. And in typical Black storytelling fashion, it's usually something sexual that that breaks. And I felt that was one of the first times I felt actually like bad for Winter when she thought she was sleeping with a rapper and she was really sleeping with the security guard. Um and I also was waiting for Winter to get like an STD. Like they
Yes.
kept hinting at it. And
Yes.
again, in the 90s and even now, typical storytelling is that STDs are seen as a punishment for bad people. Like you get AIDS or syphilis or whatever because you were behaving wrong or whatever. And it's just like, even the way they treated AIDS in this book, again, it's the 90s, it wasn't well understood, but her speaking life into these women prisoners who were in her own separate wing with AIDS. She was basically telling them they was ugly. Like a whole bitch. How they crying because you hurt their feelings. Like the fuck? It's just like you used to be beautiful and now you ain't got shit to live for. So you might as well use these last few days of your life to pray and do something good, be a good mother to your children. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, that would hurt. That would have crushed me if I was dying from AIDS and in jail. You ain't got nothing else to say to me except I'm ugly. The fuck? That's the worst part of those 3 experiences. Like, Jesus. Yeah, so I was waiting for it. I was waiting for it. And by the grace of God, it did not come, but that doesn't mean that the subtext was not there within the story.
There was something I was gonna say about, oh, okay, when Winter slept with the dude who she thought was GS, and like he said he came in her or whatever. And in my head, I was like, I'm waiting for there to be a consequence from this. And but there was, because she was
Yeah.
she got pregnant and had to get her abortion.
And I thought there was going to be a consequence from that because she had sex like right after the abortion treatment. And they're like, oh, you can get. I genuinely thought the book was going to end with Winter getting sick and dying. Like, genuinely thought that's how it was going to end. Just tragic in the way that like we typically do tragedy. Like, I just really thought that's what was going to. Now, that's what I wanted to happen, but I just wasn't like everything Winter did had no consequence. And I'm like, so then what was the point of her? I mean, I guess it did have consequences because she ends up in jail. She ends up in like things just start. Her life just starts disintegrating, but she never gets like direct consequences for things that she's done. Like you lead to the miscarriage of Simone's baby, and she forgives you. Like you get pregnant by either this bullet drug dealer guy, or you get pregnant by Tony the security guard, and you just get abortion. They even write it's easy peasy. Like nothing happens. You steal from Sister Soldier, nothing happens. Like you everything, like you go to the group home and all the other stuff, but like nothing really happens. When she finally gets arrested, it's not even her fault. Like
Right.
she takes the fall for someone else.
Okay.
And I'm just like, what excuse me, what has Winter learned? Which actually brings me to one of the other questions I had. At the end of the book, she sees her little sister, her middle sister, Portia, who is living the life that Winter has always wanted to live. She's up with some drug dealer in Central, like in the high rise looking over Central Park. She's rich. She's took care of like their mama and shit, who is dead by this point in the book because she just real suddenly got on crack. That was just immediate.
Yeah, like I want to know, like I would have liked more backstory into that. Like, was she always like casually using or something, or was she just like depressed with everything going on and just fell deep into it? Like,
it was like they saw the other baby mama in the jail, and the next day her mama was a bald headed crackhead. Like for real, it was the next
that's
scene.
pretty much what happened. Yeah,
It's literally the next scene, which is another reason why Ricky Santiago ain't shit. Cause like, where where did this baby come from? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And then she got all this money. You did not take care of your family. You did not. Like, even if Mrs. Santiago with no name had to know about Dolce with the name, at least she would have known where the fucking money was. Like, she would, that lady had at least $50,000 that they never got. And that's probably for the best because Winter would have spent it all within like 3 months. But yeah, my question was going to be, she went back to their children, their offspring. She sees Portia. Portia's living her best life or whatever at the funeral. And she thinks that she wants to warn Portia. Like she wants to tell her something about like what she knows now. And she doesn't. She's like, well, Portia will have to figure it out for herself. That's the way it is. Implying that Winter has figured it out for herself. I want to know, has Winter figured it out for herself? Because at no point in the book up until now have we been led to believe that Winter has figured anything out. She keeps making the same mistakes multiple times, trusting these niggas, using these women, overspending her money, doing dumb things. Like, has Winter learned anything? And what, if so, what should she, or could she have told Portia at the end of this book? What did Portia need to hear?
I think Winter has learned things at this point. Like I feel like, just being in jail, all you have to do is time to think. So I mean, at least you could tell Portia like all her regrets or something, or just be like, I'm here because I trusted a man. And the same thing can happen to you because they're out for themselves, like, ask you to hold the gun in the purse, and next thing you know. So, and I wish she would have, told Portia something. I mean, I know it probably would have fallen on deaf ears, but at least to say it, because she probably won't see Portia again. Like, sis was like, oh yeah, I've been meaning to come see you. No, you weren't. You're
I
lying.
don't know. Jails be far away. Jails be out in the boonies. So I mean, not she's lying, obviously, but I also get it. Jails be far. But no, I feel you. Like she says twice in the book, like when she had money first, that she was like, I should go see my sisters. Like she knew where Portia was. She didn't know where the twins were. But like I should go see her. She was like, but I can't go see her with nothing to offer her or show her, right? And then in the end she's just like, I could say something, but she's not going to want to hear it from me. She's going to say, oh, Winter, you're ugly, Winter, you're poor, Winter, you're whatever. So like I feel like Winter kind of has in her mind that you have to be a certain way in order to be worth listening to, which is part of me thinking like maybe that's how Sister Soldier feels, that you got to present a certain way. This is respectability politics written all up and through this book, and respectability politics ain't saving nobody's life. That's all I'm saying. And I hope Winter wouldn't have told Portia some shit like that. Like, get a job, get yourself clean, put on some pantyhose and respect yourself, Portia. Like, I don't know. I wish she would have told her. I wish her daddy would have even told her, like, just something about genuine game. Like, or just something about life. Like, always have your own. Like, regardless of who's taking care of you or what, always have something for yourself and safe. Like, have something to fall back on. Have a plan B. None of the niggas in this book had a plan B except for Midnight, and I don't want to give him any credit, but he's the only one with a plan B in this whole book. That maybe is the biggest lesson I got out of the book, for sure. And I don't have a plan B either.
I do wonder why Midnight, he adopted the twins, but why didn't he adopt Portia?
Maybe by that time Portia was like too deep into the game and didn't want to get out. Because the twins were like 3 and Portia was 8 and Winter was 13 when she was 16. No, she was 8. Yeah, when Winter turned 16. So and the story takes place over like between her 16th 17th, and like things take a turn like around her. She goes to jail when she's 18. So by then, like, Portia's maybe like, she's maybe like 10, 11, around the time Winter kind of started running the streets a little bit. Like Winter was 12 when she started being sexual. And the twins are probably like 5 or 6. So maybe by that time, like, Portia just didn't want to. Like, what would Winter do? Many people tried to save Winter, and Winter pushed that away with like both hands. So, and she was very much so, she said, Winter said in the beginning of the story that Portia was always trying to jack her, like was always copying off of her and hated her. And like, but she grew up in the same household as Winter. She learned the same things. The twins probably were the only ones who had any chance of doing something different because they spent so little time with their parents. And in that house, even though they got separated, which I think is fucked up. They should not have separated them. Is Winter a sociopath?
Yes. Probably. I just thought she only cares about money. Like she didn't, I don't even think she felt really sad at her mom's funeral. She was more
avoided
sad that
her
her
mama
dad was sad.
Yeah. And I think she was sad that she was ugly. She had a scar on her face. See, okay, I'm about to get on Sister Soldier again. Like I feel like she feels that she has to take girls who are traditionally pretty. Like she feels like she needs to take them down a notch a little bit. Like every person who the book at some point describes as beautiful ends up ugly somehow. Winter and her mother both get scars on their faces. The AIDS ladies, she just repeatedly calls them ugly, like multiple times, or at least twice. But that's 2 times too many. Like, I don't know. It's just something about, I feel like the book is trying to teach this lesson of like, you can't rely on your looks for stuff. which I don't think is a poor lesson, but I also think it's a shallow lesson, and it's as shallow as relying on your looks. Like it's a shallow lesson implying that like, oh, beauty isn't everything. Maybe not, but it's something, and it's nothing to be like hated on or like be, I don't know, be rejected. Like it's okay that there are beautiful people in the world. I think Sister Soldier's beautiful. I think she has beautiful eyes and beautiful lips. But yeah, something about like Sister Soldier's personal feelings in politics, like it's her book, definitely wove themselves into the book, which leads me to believe that Sister Soldier is not a sociopath. She's just a hater. I think she's just a hater. Is Winter a sociopath? The psychiatrist in the book said that she was, or she had some kind of personality disorder. But that was Winter, because Winter was like saying random stuff just to like
lying.
I don't know. Is he a sociopath? I just think Winter's dumb.
Yeah.
I don't think Winter, because I feel like a sociopath probably could have got a drug empire. She wouldn't have cared about anyone, which I guess Winter didn't either. But she didn't even prioritize her own self-preservation. A sociopath would have done that. I don't know nothing about sociopaths or psychopaths, but I would like to think a sociopath would at least think about their own self-preservation. The only time I think Winter probably definitely made me think she was a sociopath is when she knocked that old lady out with the rocks in the Holiday Inn parking lot.
Yeah.
That was that. Why are you laughing?
That was wild.
That was crazy. Like, and what happened to her?
No one even knows.
No one knows what happens to anybody. That poor old lady.
And then apparently Sister Soldier was mad that, nobody cared about the old white lady. Right? Nobody cared about Miss Mabel.
Why should we care about Miss Mabel? She done took Miss Sophia away from her kids and wouldn't let her come home at Thanksgiving because she had to drive her home. Like, I just fuck Miss Mabel.
Miss Millie.
Miss Millie, that was her name. Fuck Miss Millie.
Please go watch The Color Purple on Christmas Day.
I'm going to watch it with my family. So excited. This episode of Knocking the Books is brought to you by Warner Brothers Studios. It's not. And I don't even think that's a Warner Brothers production. I'm excited to see Coleman Domingo, though. His fine gay ass. I love it. He is out. He said it. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, but yeah, like what she care about? Like the book is about Winter. Why the fuck should I care about this old lady? And it don't say shit about me that I don't care about this woman who you didn't even bother to name. Like, shut up. Should I care about the old white man whose cell phone she took, or the other old white man in Macy's who was trying to fill on her titties? Yeah. Or should I care? Like, I care about what happened to her tennis bracelet. Like, no one's asking about that either.
And
like,
you know what? She could have got some money off that old white man Macy's, because she could have written to corporate and they would have sent a check or something.
Oh my God. First of all, you know this as a fact. And like, but also like Winter doesn't think ahead. Like she don't think. Like that's what annoyed me about her. Like there were so many things she could have used to her advantage. But to me, I want to give her the excuse that like, oh, she only knew one thing. She only ever knew drug dealing and stuff like that. And I'm like, no, she knew other shit. That was the only thing she wanted. I think Winter had tunnel vision. Like she knew there were other ways to make money. She saw the doctor lady. She saw like she saw the hairstyle lady. She saw the drug dealers. Like she wanted something very specific. She didn't just want to be rich by any means necessary. She wanted to be rich specifically by selling drugs or by being attached to someone selling drugs. I think she just really idolized that life. It kind of reminds me of like when I moved back to Maryland after graduating and living in New York, which I hated for a really long time, and then coming back to Maryland, kind of like expecting it to be just like college, like expecting like to pick up like right where I left off, and then kind of realizing like, oh, like we're grown now, we all have jobs, like we're not going to class and hanging out in the student union anymore, like it's different. And like Winter couldn't accept that. Like Winter could not accept that her life was different, and she just wanted to get back to the last time she was happy. She didn't just want money. She was looking for this particular lifestyle, and it won't there no more. You wrote down Winter and Bullet's relationship. What about their relationship do you want to talk about?
Yeah.
Uh oh.
So, I mean, you know, because you mentioned earlier, like, you know, she's basically looking for someone who's like her father and all of that. But also it's like there's kind of like a sense of betrayal there because Bullet was, you know,
Yeah. Bullet was her father's enemy. Bullet,
right.
I feel like it's implied Bullet is one of the ones that got her mama shot. Like he was one of, like
Yes.
she asked, like, are you one of the young kids or whatever? And he
Yeah.
was like, me. And I'm like, bitch, run. Like he, I don't know. Like, yeah, I think that like Winter couldn't, again, she couldn't see sense. Like there were things that Winter, people would say things directly to Winter and she would just be like, huh? Like it's like when Midnight was telling her, like, do you want me to fuck you and tell everybody about it? And Winter's just like, I'm vexed by this question. Of course I want him to fuck me. What does he think that we're doing here? And she's like, I don't want to tell anybody about it. I just want him to fuck me. And I think maybe I'm not giving Winter enough grace because throughout this whole story, she is a child. She
Mhm.
genuinely is a child who thinks that she's grown and is doing grown things. And the story starts when she's 15, turning 16 years old. Like, and she kind of never, kind of like her mom gets stunted at a certain point. Like Winter kind of stays stunted that way. So here she has this man, like many men, straight up in her face telling her what it is that they trying to do. And she's just like, no, it's okay though. Like, I don't know. Something about it. The scene where Bullet starves her basically for like 3 days. I and it confused me that Winter didn't immediately see this as like, oh, time to start making an escape plan. She was
Right.
just like, and then came home and said we was going to a party, so I got dressed. Like she didn't see that as anything like a warning sign of anything else of how this like man did not care for her. And again, like that's kind of like a cycle of abuse. You kind of like don't see it. You make excuses for it. I understand and empathize with that. But it's also like something about Winter. It's like I don't think she registered it as like abuse. I think she was just like, oh well, we going to a party. Like I don't think she cared.
Right.
And again, like Winter does not look out for her self-preservation, like at all. Like I don't think she sees it as important. I think the only thing she thinks are important is money and looks. Like
Mhm.
as long as all that's taken care of, everything else is secondary, including her own safety is secondary. She out here raw dogging these niggas and putting random dicks in her mouth and running these streets with slippers on. Like it's just, I
Mm.
don't know. I don't know. Winter, her priorities are not straight. But I
Right.
ain't gonna preach to her like Sister Soldier. I don't know. I don't know. I like the Doctor too. She was a good character. I liked how they described her house.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, how do Winter's reasons for liking Midnight differ from Sister Soldier's reasons for liking him? I love this question. This is a great question.
Thank you. Yeah, so like I feel like of course for Winter, like she's just into like looks and money. She sees he has a nice car, you know, he's on top of his game.
That
That's what she
smooth,
needs.
chocolatey skin.
Yeah.
Love me a dark skin.
Yeah. Whereas Sister Soldier, like, you know, she was first attracted to him when she saw him reading at Columbia and everything. No, she's like, oh, he's an intellectual. He's trying to come up. But it's
He's
like, oh no, he's a
better than
drug
these
dealer.
raggedy Negroes that are in these Harlem streets. Like, and then she finds out, what, you don't go to Columbia? But he's still a reading ass nigga. You don't? You're a drug dealer. Here's the thing. I ain't trying to date a drug dealer either. I get it. It's a fickle business and it's dangerous. You can get caught up. I'm not saying she should have lowered her standards, but it's just the judgment that came with it. And Midnight, I hate that I'm giving this man credit, but he rightfully calls her out a couple times. He's like, you say you for the community, but you don't seem to care what the community is doing. Like you have all these reasonings, which are smart and right ones about how the drugs are just the way the government controls Negroes and keeps them down and all other shit. But like the reality of the situation is that the drugs are here and that people are using and people are making money and people are doing these things. And Sister Soldier is just looking at all these people and calling them stupid and ugly. And like she did the same thing to Midnight, and Midnight kind of called her out for it. Like, you don't really care about the people. You care about like your own agenda, basically. And I like her response to it. She was like, "You're not wrong, but I'm still not about to get into this with you." I mean, I like a woman who stands on her standards. That's fine. But I think Sister Soldier kind of saw Midnight as like, yeah, like I think she thought he was special, like in a way that like I think maybe they both saw him the same. Maybe they both saw him as like not like other girls or other niggas. Like I think Winter looked at him and was just like, "Oh, he's not falling after me and throwing dick on the table for me, and I gotta work hard for it and stuff." And Sister Soldier saw him as like, "Oh, like he's a drug dealer, but he's smart. He reads books. He can read. He can write his own name. Um, he's been traumatized. I can fix him." That's not fair. That's not fair to this real lady. But we're talking about her fictional character. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think they both romanticize him. I don't know if either of them saw Midnight for who he actually was. Genuinely don't. I think only Midnight knew himself. And I think that's how he wanted it. I don't think Midnight was interested in genuine connection with anybody. And yeah, I'm worried about them twins. And his wife. I'm like, y'all, good luck with this man. This man does not know how to emote. But good luck, everybody else. If this book were made into a movie, who would play the main characters?
Okay.
I'm ready.
So
hit me with it.
For Ricky Santiago, when I first started reading it, I was like, maybe what's his name? Rick Gonzalez.
Looking it up.
He was in they played basketball. Coach Carter.
Oh, yeah. He's too young. I guess he's old now. You're right.
But he looks young, I guess. But I don't know.
You're right. Like, I always picture him as a dude in Roll Bounce.
Oh yeah, he was in that. I forgot. But I was like, maybe he's too short though, because I feel like
they said that her daddy was barely 6 feet. And again, she might be idolizing her father. Okay. So I don't know. My Rick Gonzalez, hold on, I have to look up his name too. Cause I'm like, he played Bernie's cheating husband on Waiting to Exhale. I don't know. That's just who I picture. Like this.
He's always cheating.
He always cheated.
He cheated. He cheated in Soul Food. He cheated on ER.
Yes. I just think he's just a good. It's Michael something. He's a good-looking man who like gives off this illusion of power and having things in control, but there's just something behind the eyes that you ain't all the way there. You something's a little weak about you. And he may not be Latino or whatever, but that was who I pictured playing Ricky Santiago for sure. The mom, oh my gosh, I had the mom in my head. Like, she just left me. I'm sorry. Oh my God. It was this little lady. The woman, the woman from Waiting to Exhale. She was in a whole bunch of, not Waiting to Exhale, excuse me. Two Can Play That Game. She was in a whole bunch of movies. The woman who was not Vivica Fox, Wendy Raquel Robinson, or Monique. The other one.
Tamala Jones.
I think she's so pretty, and I think she can play hood shit very well. And yeah, I think she's little, and I think she can give us drama for when I think she's little enough and loud enough and beautiful enough to play Mrs. Santiago for sure.
Okay, so my pick was Brisha Webb. Did you watch Harlem?
Yeah.
She was the one who had like worked in marketing and who was.
I can see that.
Yeah.
See that? And girl, that's not Harlem. That's Run the World.
Run the World.
They're the same show. They really are. I like them both. You should watch both. If you liked The Coldest Winter Ever, you should watch Harlem and Run the World. They're not. They're both in New York. That's the only
Right.
similarity. But no, Brisha Webb would be a good. She'd be a good mama. I also pictured the mother as a little darker skin. I don't know
Yeah.
why.
I
I
think
pictured
they described her. They said mahogany skin.
I
Maybe that's
pictured Winter as dark skin, but like so a couple of times in the book they describe her as like brown skin, like caramel complexion type of person. Cause in my head, I pictured the girl from Everybody Hates Chris, Amani.
Oh,
I forgot what her name, but like a grown-up version of her,
okay.
like playing Winter. But I don't think she's that dark.
Amani Hakim. Yeah.
Yes, Amani Hakim. I just
Okay.
pictured because she is beautiful and but also young in my head. I'm sure that woman got like is married with 2 children now, but like has also that young can play that young naivety really well, but also like if you ever seen Everybody Hates Chris, that grown, too grown sneakiness too that like I think
Mhm.
really embodies Winter. That
Yeah.
was who I pictured for Winter,
So
but I gotta think differently now.
at first for winter, I thought of Lovey Simone from Greenleaf,
Oh, that's a good one.
just because I like her as an
I
actress.
love her as an actress. She's
Um,
also gorgeous.
but then I was like, well, is she supposed to look like more Afro Latina? I don't know. So then I was like, maybe Paige Hurd
Hmm.
from I don't know if you watch Power, the Tariq one.
I
What
sure
else has she
don't.
been on?
Oh, I can see that. I can see
Oh,
that
she was
looks
on
like a
Everybody Hates
Winter.
Chris too. Forget
Oh
about
yeah, she played Chris's love interest.
yeah, I forgot
Shout
about
out to Everybody Hates Chris cast. And she played Queen Latifah's daughter in Beauty Shop, a great film.
she was in
She
that.
won't really paying that piano though, but I respect it.
um, and for Midnight, my first thought was like maybe like Lakeith Stanfield because he gives like standoffish very well.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, maybe we need somebody darker, like a Kofi
Ooh, Kofi
Siriboe.
Siriboe.
Yeah.
I can definitely see that. Kofi Siriboe is young enough. I was picturing Mahershala Ali the whole time, but like a young version of him. Like
Yeah.
it can't be like grown Mahershala Ali. It has to be like I was picturing specifically Mahershala Ali in Moonlight, where he was playing like a drug runner,
Mhm.
a drug dealer, excuse me, who was just really wise and like his head wasn't in the game, his head was elsewhere. But just someone like younger, just like a younger version of him. Maybe Trevante Rhodes can play Midnight, but I can't see him being that mean. Trevante Rhodes is too, his smile is too beautiful to do that. Um, who do you picture as Bullet or Natasha or any of the other little friends that we've made along the way?
I didn't really think about them. Let's see, who could play Bullet? Because I don't really remember any physical descriptors.
Yeah, me either. I'm just like, to me, I picture him as some light skinned boy with dimples who think he cute, who wears his hat to the side and a matching jersey and like bag, like just niggas I went to high school with, honestly. See, Rick Gonzalez could play Bullet. I can see that. I can see Rick Gonzalez playing Bullet. Um, and I pictured Natasha as a young, specifically from the house party days as a young AJ Johnson. Like
Oh,
really I was picturing like house party AJ Johnson as
mhm.
Natasha for sure.
Wait, is it Natasha or Natalie?
Natalie, excuse me, as Natalie.
Yeah, yeah. I keep thinking of like characters from Power because Albert got me watching that. So I'm like, Bullet could have been, oh, what's his name? He was in the New Edition movie. He played Bobby Brown.
I don't know his name, but I know I can picture him. I know who you're talking about.
Ugh.
Googling.
His name is why everybody but him
Wait,
show.
wait, wait. I forgot Dwayne Martin was in that movie.
Yeah, just tell me what his name is. Why isn't Google?
Why am I choking today? The young Bobby Brown, right?
Yeah.
Tyler Marcel Williams is his name.
Wait, no, not the young, the adult Bobby Brown. Not.
Oh, well then no, I couldn't picture him.
No. Woody
Woody McClain.
McClain.
Oh, I can see that man being bullied. He was in some other shit. Oh, now that I'm thinking about the new edition cast, old boy from Empire. Um,
Brashear?
yes, he could
Oh,
play Bullet for
yeah, I
sure.
could see that. I could definitely
Yeah,
see that.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm still holding my bubbly.
Brought to you by Bubbly.
Brought to you by bubbly and by my sore scratchy throat.
Um, there was something else I was gonna say. Oh, like if I feel like if you liked The Coldest Winter Ever, you would like the movie Just Another Girl on the IRT.
Never heard of this movie.
Okay, so I saw that for the first time this summer. And like that's a movie that like a lot of people are like, oh, this movie like scared me out of like messing around when I was younger. So it doesn't deal with like drugs or anything, but it is about a girl who lives in the projects in New York. And she's like, I'm gonna make it out. I'm smart. I'm gonna go to college. I'm gonna do this, that, and the third. But then she's messing around with these guys and you know, it doesn't quite pan out for her, but it's very raw in that sense. So I
Because
feel like
sex deserves to be punished. Being sexual and sexy, you gotta die. You gotta lose something. You gotta lose your
I mean,
bracelet. You gotta lose your mind, like my
I don't
mama. Like
I
that's
don't
the
want to spoil
moral
the
of the
movie,
story.
but it gets very like it's just very real. And it's like, what? Why did she do that? Like
It's all downhill from the moment you lose your virginity, ladies.
what
It's
they say
just
in Mean Girls and the original Mean Girls, we have to say that now. If you have sex, you
sex,
will
you will
die.
get pregnant and
And
die.
you'll die.
Obviously. I feel like if you like The Coldest Winter Ever, and I don't mean this as a diss, but it's gonna come off that way. You will like any Tyler Perry feature film.
If you like this, you should go watch what's the one, Journey Smollett.
Yeah, I was just about to say addiction or temptation. Memoirs of a therapist, whatever the fuck that thing is. The one where she gets AIDS and dies. I'm so sorry. Listen, hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. I like plenty of Tyler Perry creation. That one, Kiki Palmer, is my favorite. Because of the overacting older sister who has a man who wants to love me, but I won't let him. And Lynn Whitfield in one of her best roles I've ever seen her in. But no, because it has that same preachy vibe. It has that same women be making mistakes and just need a man to save them vibe. Wonderful, beautiful black cast. Sometimes great music. And yeah, sex being punished. That's it. That's it. Yeah, I think you will like a Tyler Perry production if you like Coldest Winter Ever. I liked The Coldest Winter Ever. What rating would I give it? I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars for sure, because it's not like a book that would be like, oh, it's my favorite, which I would give like 4s and 5s, but it is a book that I think is really well written. It's hilarious. Like the writing is very good in this book and it's very relatable, but also something that's going to stick with me for a long time.
Oh, this is hard for me because as much as I don't like winter and everything, I did enjoy reading this.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm like, can I give this 5 stars? Because
Ooh.
before I let go, it's 5 stars, and I just it can't be like the same. I
Okay.
think
Are
I'll give it
we?
3.75.
Okay.
Because it was very well written. It's different from any book I've probably ever read so far.
I love me some urban lit, man. That used to be when borders were still open. I used to go straight to the African American literature section, read me some Eric Jerome Dickey, some Brenda Jackson, I some Zane. I love me some urban lit. I gotta find another one. I've been looking for this book forever. It's called Juicy. It's about this girl who her name is Juicy and she got a brother with mental illness and she starts getting with this drug dealer who can't get hard, and then she ends up having an affair with someone else. That book was so good to 8th grade me. I was obsessed with that book. I'm gonna find it. If anyone watching this knows what book I'm talking about, I know it's called Juicy and I just don't know who it's by. But yeah, give him some urban lit, Melissa. Your mind has been opened, but not in the way Sister Soldier wants it to be. Okay. What are we reading next?
What are we reading next? Are we going to read a Christmassy book?
Yeah, we're gonna read a Christmassy book. I suggested Mary Inkmas by Talia Hibbert. She's one of my favorite romance novelists. It's a short one, I think. I think it's even like a novella, and it takes place around Christmas. But do you have a suggestion?
I really don't, because I mean, what were we still had options from the last time, like what was it, Black Buck
Yeah,
and Queenie, I think, which would be
maybe.
another annoying protagonist, I believe.
I think so too. I read part of it, and I'm like, she gonna get on my nerves. Maybe we read something light. We read 2 heavy books back to back. Maybe let's just do something light and fun and silly and British. Let's read.
Right.
Let's get out of the hood and read Mary Inkmas by Talia Hibbert next.
All right.
Okay. Well, this has been fun. This has been intriguing. I need to do some more research on Sister Soldier because I hate the fact the book starts out talking something. I hate Sister Soldier, and I was like, "Ooh, why?" I'm like, I didn't understand, but now I'm like, I get it. Help nobody in this book, in this story at all. She helped nobody, so I don't know. I like that she's trying though. You try and do something for the community, as are we with Knocking the Books.
Yes.
A Jolie and Melissa production. Not bought to you by Bubbly.
It's brought to you by Coach. I wore this for winter because I was trying to be.
Oh my God, that's such a cute
Flossy.
shirt. It has a little stagecoach on it and everything. Oh, I love it. I'm wearing a Ross original. I'm trying to pull my Sade look together with the lipstick and the big hoop earrings that are actually hurting my ears right now.
Oh, not to the 90s.
A nod to the 90s. I was feeling it. I was picking up on the 90s vibes in that book. Yeah, she wrote that book now. I don't think this book would have gone over as well as it's going over as it went over in the 90s. I don't think this book has aged very well.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's aged poorly. I just think it's slowly starting to be like, you kind of being a little harsh to these to these AIDS ladies.
And I can't remember the guy's name, but the guy who was like, he said he wasn't gay, but he liked getting his dick sucked by men because they have stronger jaws. I just wanted to be like, sir, you're bi. It's okay.
It's fine.
It's all right.
Fine. You're bi. And I was just like, I want to read his story. Like, what's going on? What's going on there? I want to read the twin story. You know what? I think I am going to read the sequel. It recently came out. It came out maybe like a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So maybe we will see some differences in how Sister Soldier reacts to modern times and understanding of what goes on in the Black community. Yeah. Or maybe she'll double down. It still follows Winter, but Winter's older. I think 25 years old. So
I'm interested to see how Winter is. So,
yeah. Maybe in a couple months we'll pick that one up and circle back to this conversation. But in the meantime, Melissa, it's always lovely seeing your beautiful face and beautiful hair and perfect eyebrows. Just kill it. Like the eyebrows are looking good. Yes.
Thank you.
And your nails are cute.
Thank you. I broke one, unfortunately, but you know, my autumnal vibes.
Yeah, it still looks like it's like intentional.
So. Okay, that's good. That's good.
Yeah,
I can handle that.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Bye. I love you.
Bye. Bye. Like, comment, subscribe.
Like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.